Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we're going to take a look at something a little bit different by request. This actually comes from Larry, one of our members. This is The Good, Bad, and the Ugly as performed by the Danish National Symphony Orchestra. This is a version that has been seen 158 million times on YouTube, which is pretty impressive. It's been up for about 7 years. Of course, this is the theme song to the famous Western that features Clint Eastwood. And people probably know it. Even if they don't know it by name, you'll probably recognize it. Mm-hmm. And I thought it would be a good thing to include on the channel, even though it's not necessarily rock and roll, because it does get referenced in various rock and roll compositions. This thing was written by Ennio Morricone, who's extremely prolific. 400 scores for cinema and television, and 100 classical works, by the way. He's widely considered one of the most prolific and greatest film composers of all time. So maybe that time period's John Williams. I don't know. Besides The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, he also did things like A Fistful of Dollars, Cinema Paradiso. These are big, major films. He's very well known, and you'll probably recognize the theme. Okay, Adrian, any comments up ahead?
Well, I did a little bit of study on it. I guess he started out at age 6 composing. And his father taught him to read music and play several instruments before he went to a music school. I guess he signed up for a 4-year music school program at age 12, and he finished it in 6 months.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That says you're doing your homework and then some.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he's just continued with writing and arranging theater music, classical voice and piano, and also, seriously, all the movies, TV shows, and plain old compositions make a list a mile long.
Yeah, it's pretty long. Kind of looking through it as you're talking, and it's just like, yeah.
Reading about his accomplishments, and my eyes just kept glazing over.
There's a man that enjoyed his work. He passed away in 2020. A life well lived.
Yeah, maybe you've never heard of him, but quite likely you've heard his music.
So the Danish Symphony Orchestra and the Danish National Concert Choir is going to be part of this performance. I'm told it might be entertaining, but I haven't actually seen it yet. So and this very particular version was requested. So let's go ahead and take a look at it.
All right. So there's a whole orchestral piece behind that.
Yeah.
The first whistling part is something I would whistle sometimes to indicate something, or someone's said something a bit loopy or something like that.
I tend to associate it with being in some trouble, potentially, or trouble is brewing, or, there's going to be a showdown.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I never thought it came from a film score. It's just something I would hear once in a while, like spaghetti western or liquor commercial or what have you.
Right.
That said, it's a darn good piece of music.
I mean, it's worth noting. The Good, Bad, and the Ugly was considered part of the spaghetti western genre because they had, I'm not sure, not Italian casts, but the directors, and of course the film score.
There's just quite a lot more complexity than what I originally thought was just a whistle.
Oh, it's a classical piece.
Yes.
You notice we were talking about he's done 100 different pieces, and I don't know if this counts as one of those or not, but it was clearly one of those where it made use of all his skills in arranging for classical and also knowing how to pace it. It sounded to me like a contemporary classical piece.
And now I can say I have heard the music of Ennio Morricone.
So it was directed by Sergio Leone, very famous director who did a lot of these types of films. And I believe Clint Eastwood was in more than a few.
Yeah, he was kind of a Western actor, wasn't he? He was in a lot of
but
sort of Western flavored things, actually. A bit more modern than the Old West.
Talking mostly about Ennio Morricone and the fact that these are Italian-made films.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting. Like, he was directed by Sergio Leone. Okay, so he did a whole bunch of these, including, A Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More. So yeah, Clint Eastwood was in those. It's basically an Italian production, and they were making a lot of Westerns back at that time. But as far as Ennio goes, he's clearly got amazing skills that were put to good use in all of these movies. They needed something cinematic, and he brought it to the table. Now, talking about looking at this choir perform, that was another thing entirely. It was entertaining just watching them do it, and the whistling and the other mouth meow 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 or whatever she was doing there at one point. And the sheer number of singers. And I liked how they kind of placed them in different areas. I mean, they sort of had to because there were so many people performing this song. It looked like they were using every inch of space that they could put performers. It was a wonderful effect.
I just remembered, too, did you notice that part where it looked like there was a guy hanging above the orchestra, perhaps a dummy or something?
I'm figuring it was a dummy. I sure hope it was.
I hope so.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Or they didn't show the whole person, so he could have been hanging onto a rope or something and dangling above.
Well, no, it actually fits in with the movie theme because one of the famous lines from this movie is, "There are two kinds of people in the world, my friend, those with a rope around the neck and the people who have the job of doing the cutting." Pretty dark.
Yeah.
So that's why they call it the Good, Bad, and Ugly. But yeah, so clearly it was in reference to the movie. Now, the movie is considered a classic. I don't even know if I probably have. I was probably sick at home in bed one day from school, and it was probably something like that, but I couldn't tell you about it, The only Clint Eastwood I know is Right Turn, Clyde. What was that movie?
Every Which Way But Loose. I remember that movie.
Right Turn, Clyde.
File that under childhood memories and never watch it again. Anyway, really interesting, cool piece of music. Fascinating to see them perform it. Thanks for the suggestion, Larry. Good one. And folks, if you have any commentary on this, I'd love to hear it. Whether or not you can remember seeing the movie in the theater, perhaps, or if you ever saw it performed by any orchestra or by any rock band as part of a suite, maybe, or medley, or you never know, middle of a jam. I'm pretty sure I've heard it. I just can't off the top of my head remember where. So leave all that below, as well as your general thoughts on this. And if you have other suggestions for us, leave those below as well. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed our presentation, please subscribe. Don't forget, we have a Modern Rock Talk channel now where we put all interviews and So far, so good. I've started doing them once a day now, hoping to keep that up and maybe even expand upon it as time goes on. If you haven't seen it yet, please go over and check it out and perhaps subscribe. In the meantime, thanks so much for joining us on this one, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Take care.
See you all later.